none of us got to meet beforehand. And so everything that you see is actually happening in the moment. And as a mother, I think I was so deeply vulnerable because my child, I lost many of my pregnancies, and my son Leo Thames crashed at birth, and I didn't get to see his face, and they took him, and I didn't know if he was gonna come back to life. And he had a serious heart defect called transposition of the great arteries, and I just hear he's crashing, and they like ran out of the room, and I'm having to get stitched up because they had to all of this stuff, and the nurse said, she said, you need to be on a 72-hour epidural. And I said, but I need to go see my child. I need to see my child. Is he alive? Will you tell me, is he alive? And she said, ma'am, and I said, I need to go see she's like, that is illegal. Unless you cannot walk, it is illegal. We cannot let you. You just had a major operation. And I looked to my doctor, and he went like that, and I said, I'm fine. And she said, no, I don't think you understand. You're not fine. This was not just a C-section. And I was like, I'm fine. And I got up off of a surgical table, and I walked into this NICU, and it was legitimately, looking back, like a scene in the movie, and it makes me really emotional, watching it, because when I walked in, everybody went pale, and my child was barely alive. And I just remember saying something like, I don't know what you believe in, but if you could just pray with me. And I closed my eyes, and I prayed, and I started singing. I've actually never told anybody this part. I think it was like, I just started singing, like, You Are My Sunshine or something. And then I couldn't hear anything, and then I just heard, like, he's stable. And then people crying, and I open up my eyes, and I hear the beeps of the machine, and then my body, that's when I went into seizures, right? Because I had no medication, nothing. And that's when I realized there's nothing that I would not do or cannot do for my child. And, cut to, an hour and a half later, and she's like, we have to do this thing, and a 72-hour epidural. And I was like, my child is in the ICU, and I need to go breastfeed him, and I need to give him a reason to stay here on this planet. I need him to know who his mother is, because I just knew inside of me that if I couldn't hold him and touch him, and they were going to race him into an open heart surgery, but some part of me knew that he had already left, that I needed him to stay. And I did that every 2.5 hours. I'd stood up, I'd walk, go to the other building, up to the floor, breastfeed my child with 67 lines in him. And, when you go through something like that, it forever changes you. And when you see the strength and the resilience of human beings, it's so powerful. And yes, I could have done this before, but not like this.